Good morning, and welcome to the King Institute for Faith and Culture, to our final event for the year, which is one of our student lectures. If you are not aware of this tradition goes back to 1960 at King. Every year, faculty have selected 2 rising seniors to do a talk about something that they're interested in academically or perhaps personally. And these have been a great window into the interests and pursuits of our students. Many of those have gone on to very interesting careers and look back later on this event as a kind of formative moment, the student lecture at King. We're delighted this morning that our student lecturer is Amanda Meadows, and to introduce her, I welcome Dr. Kelly Vaughn.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. I promised Amanda that I would actually prepare ahead of time and not just speak off the cuff like I'm prone to do, at the risk of making her cry. This wouldn't be the first time that she has cried, usually out of frustration and self-doubt. And I kind of hope it's not the last time she cries, but I hope in the future it's out of joy and celebration. Amanda's going to tell you her story today, so I'm not going to really introduce her. I'm going to give you a little context. The Amanda that I and the other faculty and students met as a freshman would have been mortified to be up here today. And instead, the Amanda that we have now that's about ready to graduate is actually excited to come and share her story with you. We have watched Amanda grow into, if she believes it or not, a strong, confident person. This is one of my favorite traditions at King. Each talk that we see from a student is unique as they are as individuals. Some, like Gracie last week, have found their calling and have their drive and their vocation laid out before them. Others, like Amanda, and I suspect many of you, don't know where your journey is going to take you quite next. And those, they share the journey of how they got here, how they have gotten to this stage, and there is value in both of those stories. So please welcome Amanda as she shares her story and what motivates her and what she has overcome to get here today.
Thank you, Dr. Vaughn, for that introduction. Good morning. I'm truly blessed to be with you this morning, and I'm excited to have the opportunity to share my academic journey with you. First, I would like to thank King University's Institute for Faith and Culture for granting me with the honor it is to be speaking in front of you today. I would also like to thank the faculty and staff of King for nominating me for this immense honor. Obviously, I wouldn't be standing up here without you all. To my family and friends present today or watching online, your constant support, love, and encouragement is truly what has gotten me here today, and I am forever grateful for your commitment to my personal growth and education. I would like to begin my lecture today by talking about how I ended up here at King. As you can see from these images, I was an extremely accomplished student at my high school, Sullivan Central. I was in a leadership position in almost every single club offered at Central. I even went to the Skills USA National Championship and came home a national gold medalist for the chapter display competition. One of the main accomplishments that allowed me to come to King was scoring a 32 on the ACT. Here at the top, you can see I was displayed on a billboard along with the others who scored a 30 or above. Achieving this goal, along with graduating with a 4.0 and the highest state distinctions, I was given the highest tier academic scholarship to come to King. As we can see in the next slide, one may refer to me as a homebody. I went to elementary school 10 minutes from my home and middle school and high school only 15 minutes away. When making my decision for college, King's 20-minute drive away was a bonus in addition to the beautiful campus. I've always been a small-town girl, not traveling so far from the place I call home. My family occasionally goes on vacation, so the map to the left shows all the places I've stayed for more than a couple of days. The farthest north I've ever traveled was Louisville, Kentucky for the national championship I mentioned earlier, and the absolute farthest place I've traveled was Orlando, Florida to visit Disney World around age 10, until, plot twist, I decided to go out on a limb and make a jump across the ocean 7,855 miles to Kenya, Africa. I never dreamed I would travel halfway across the globe from my hometown, especially to Africa. Don't worry, my parents were only slightly more shocked than I was. However, during my junior year, I made a connection with the student life organizer, Chase Arndt. During his college career, Chase actually lived in Kenya for several years, so I decided this was a wonderful opportunity to travel with a local to a place I would probably never get an opportunity to go otherwise. This experience was not only an amazing opportunity to fulfill my cross-cultural experience for graduation, but it was also a wonderful time of networking with those of a different cultural background. As we can see here, the population of Lotuktuk, the city we stayed in, is almost 7 times greater than the population of Bristol, so living in Africa was nothing short of a culture shock. The main languages spoken in Kenya are Swahili and English, with most of the older people knowing little English. Culture in Kenya is definitely different than America, but it is something that I'm so glad I got to experience. Some major differences in culture between Africa and America are as follows. Here we have some pictures from Kenya while I tell you the cultural differences. Unlike America, children are encouraged to reach for the dreams of their parents rather than striving for their own personal goals. African culture is deeply rooted, so families tend to continue their occupational traditions in order to preserve tribal culture. Schools are segregated by gender to avoid any possible distractions. Most schools in Lotuktuk, Kenya are boarding schools that most children have to travel long distances to attend. When guests of honor come to visit, Maasai people feel inclined to kill an animal to show their gratitude and appreciation for their guest. But my main takeaway is, even though Kenya is on the brink of being a third world country, the people of this country are still so connected, and when they have visitors, they give their all to them. As I said before, when visiting some locals in Kenya, they sacrificed a goat for us to eat and gave us chai tea at almost every place we visited. Although I didn't have a liking for hot teas or goat, I was still grateful for the experience of being with Kenyan natives. Overall, traveling to Kenya opened my eyes to the world around me and also opened the door of opportunity to travel outside of America by relieving my fear of traveling so far away from home. My favorite picture from this is me up in the top corner. I got to feed a giraffe. That was pretty cool. Although I've stayed relatively close to home as long as I've been alive, that doesn't mean that things haven't been a little bit of a challenge. My biggest struggles during my 4 years in college, similar to most of the students here today, have been anxiety and learning to deal with uncertainty. Even though I managed to upkeep my reputation of performing quite well in class, I still faced immense self-doubt, wondering if I was even good enough to be in all those upper-level classes. I often thought about the what-ifs. What if I don't make an A on this assignment? What if I don't do well on this exam that I've studied so much for? As students, I'm sure we've all been there, but I'm here to tell you that I have eventually learned that everything will work out the way it is supposed to. Even if things go differently than you planned, you can still get through it. One big obstacle that we have all recently faced that caused quite a bit of anxiety was the global pandemic that shut everything down in March of 2020. This made it especially hard for me to keep my new connections with other students, seeing as things did not return to normal until the end of my junior year. However, after returning from Kenya in 2022, I quickly reformed friendships and started to really interact with other students. There are many ways I try to cope with my anxiety. However, the methods I utilize most, that you can see here, are filling my plate full with responsibilities, going to church when I'm not working, listening to music, and enjoying sunsets and nature. This is a picture of my pastor, Johnny, and me. I've been going to the same small Free Will Baptist church for 10 years, and I became an official member of the church in 2019. My church family has been crucial in being able to help me to further develop my view of the world around me, along with always being interested in my academic journey. Although I'm not able to attend church much anymore because of work, Pastor Burton gave me a few Bible verses to help manage my stress, my struggles, and anxiety. My favorite Bible verse, 1 Corinthians 9:24. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run, that ye may obtain. I love this verse because it compares life to a race that we are all running together. More times than not, life is all about slowing down and enjoying the race of life. One saying I learned in Kenya is pole pole, which means slowly, slowly. This phrase basically means that although we have a lot on our plates, we must take time to enjoy life and those around us. Matthew 6:34. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about its own things. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. During college, it is so easy to get caught up in all of the upcoming assignments, exams, and due dates. However, it is important to take a break from school once in a while and enjoy the things around you. When I first came to King, I was anxious about how I was going to get involved on campus. As a not-so-social person, I struggled being able to start conversations with people I didn't know. This all changed when, as a freshman, I became the work study for a course called Science Seminar. This work study position was a segue into getting involved all over campus, so within the next few years, I would have managed to obtain work study positions in biology, chemistry, religion, and financial aid. As I mentioned earlier, I tend to volunteer myself to have just a few responsibilities. Yes, I've lived at home with my parents for the past 4 years, but they can attest that even they haven't seen me very much. Also, based on the class load, one can see that I'm also a verified science nerd, learning the basics in classes like immunology and biochemistry, and actually doing the science in my allotted lab work time. I'm sure you're wondering why I pack my schedule so full, especially on the weekends. One of the biggest struggles I've faced during college is having to pay for my education completely by myself. Although I received the highest tier academic scholarship at King, that still did not cover all of the cost. I did not want to take out any loans, so this is where retail comes in. I'm sure you can tell from everything I've said so far, once I find a place that I feel comfortable, I will stay there until I'm kicked out. At my first job ever, Gap Factory, I started as a sales associate, but was eventually trained to be a key holder. I learned so much in this job, but the most important being learning how to talk to people and perfectly fold clothes. Most people probably don't like to fold clothes, but I found it a form of therapy. That was until Gap shut down in May of 2021. However, in June of that same year, I was welcomed into the customer service crew of Bass Pro, as you can see on the bottom. My coworkers, who have quickly become my best friends, have always been there to support and encourage me no matter what kind of stress I've been under. Working in customer service has taught me many things, with the most important being learning how to simplify processes for others, along with lending a listening ear to those who are frustrated or confused. Overall, I have learned retail is so much more than just a weekend job. Retail is a family composed of so many different backgrounds and personalities. My friends that you see here are the reason I can keep my sanity during rush hour, even when it is extremely hard to do so. Throughout my life, I've had so many family and friends that you see here in the front and back there in the back corner, these are the people who raised me, who lend a shoulder when I need to cry, and who always let me be myself. These are truly the ones that I owe everything to, and I hope to one day be able to repay them for all of their dedication into making me a better person. As my 4-year college journey speeds to an end, I'm still unsure what my next step is. However, performing research and the Society of Toxicology have given me an abundance of opportunities and careers that I could pursue next. Some of you may know, for the past year or so, I've been conducting my own research on the effects of plastic materials on C. elegans, which are basically microscopic worms. I recently attended the Society of Toxicology conference in Nashville, where I was able to learn more about C. elegans research, along with several other toxicological careers. With these experiences, I'm excited to see what opportunities I encounter after graduation, of course, after some time off. As we move on to the last section of my lecture, I would like to share some advice with you, all starting with some advice to my past self. Here we see a prayer that chemistry professor Dr. Pickard recites before every exam. This prayer really stuck out in my mind when preparing this talk because it reminds us that no matter what assignments or exams we face, we are still so much more than the grade we receive. We are not just numbers, and we are not just another statistic. We are the students who will one day change the world. And about 2 years ago, I wouldn't have realized that I was going to pass organics, so I'm really proud of that. Now, onto some advice to my future self. I'm excited to say that I'm actually traveling with King to Europe shortly after graduation. I'm also actively working on taking the phrase, "I'm sorry," out of my vocabulary. If you know me, you know what I mean. Right, Dr. Vaughn? Another thing I find it essential to remember is even if things don't work out accordingly to plan, everything will still be okay. And finally, probably the most important thing I've learned while attending King is that I am good enough, no matter what my mind tries to tell me. So, to conclude this lecture, I would like to present you all with a few challenges. Only 5, I promise. Number 1, think about the way you deal with obstacles, whether it be listening to music, hiking, working retail, etc., and make it a point to do more of those things. Number 2, always make time to take care of yourself, even if assignments pile up. 3, find time to enjoy your loved ones. Learning is forever, but family and friends are only temporary. 4, try to find beauty in every situation, even if it's hard and seems pointless. And finally, number 5, learn to listen to and understand others' perspectives. I would like to leave you with some closing words from an Irish blessing. May the road rise to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face, the rains fall soft upon your fields, and until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Thank you.
So on behalf of the faculty and the King Institute, we have Amanda's plaque that she'll get to hang on her wall and hopefully remember all the words she has given for you today and all the things that she has learned in this experience. And speaking also on behalf of the faculty, one of our greatest joys is watching our students develop and continue and grow and share their stories. So thank you all for being here with Amanda while she shared hers. With that, you are dismissed. Thank you.